Awesome. All right. चलो moving on to the next part of the show, the comments. तो यार इस बारी क्या हुआ था लास्ट वीक मैं न्यूज़ वाले उस वीडियो में आया नहीं था जब मैंने कमेंट्स रेडी कर रहा था तो टुक ऑल द न्यूज़ फ्रॉम लास्ट जो जो अगले शो के लिए मेंट था वो पहले ही ले लिया मैंने तो लास्ट वीक का यू मस्ट हैव नोटिस कमेंट शो 1 घंटे से ऊपर चला गया इस वीक का मेरा होप है कि उतना लंबा ना हो बिकॉज वी ओनली हैव अ फ्यू कमेंट्स बट वी हैव वन कमेंट which will also end up being like the topic for this comment show. So, but we'll start with some of the not smaller, but like not the topic वाला वो. सबसे पहले to kick the comments off. इस बार ये ज़्यादा तारीफ वगैरह सब पिछले comment वाले उसमें चला गया. तो इस बार कोई तारीफ कुछ नहीं है. ठीक है. Nobody is excited. Nobody is saying कि बड़ा मजा आ रहा है show देखने में. Nothing. Good question to start with. Rakshit पूछता है, what's your take on the future of Metal Gear Solid series? Dead or is there any hope?
Very alive. Metal Gear Solid
Left alive.
Left alive था शायद
नहीं that's
क्या था वो Metal Gear Solid का जो गेम आया था survive that is them telling you कि it will survive if you go to Japan वहाँ जाके पचिंको खेलोगे ठीक है पचिंको एक गेम है वहाँ पे you will see Metal Gear Solid 3 के cutscenes remade in Fox Engine for when you play pachinko.
Oh damn dude that hurts to hear.
You want to see Eva in
क्योंकि मैंने वो cutscene देखा है.
Yeah,
it's great
really
looking
good
cutscenes. Yeah. वैसे I think Metal Gear का like story wise I don't know I cannot imagine Kojima going back to it simply because उसने इतने बारी बोला है कि ना like MGS 3 में उसने बोला था this is the last time then 4 में बोला था last time मुझे और नहीं करना है Metal Gear then 5 में then तो उसको निकाल ही दिया तू निकल अब बहुत हो गया गेम बनाते ही was pushed out तो गेम खत्म भी नहीं हुआ कभी but maybe the only way he comes back is कि ना kind of put a real closer on it and I would like to see that for sure. But I think the best hope right now is कि Blue Point के remakes of those older games coming exclusively to PS or something is what I can see happening. And I'm also assuming कि those Metal Gear के rights they are up for sale. Like Konami ज़्यादा कुछ तो नहीं कर रहा है उसके like they can easily like say sell it for like a single game or something to Microsoft या Sony or whoever.
They could they won't sell the I think because they're actively using the like rights for the gambling, not gambling but pachinko and all that for their other whatever services they provide. They might sell like the video game license or something.
Yeah, license.
Yeah.
To like somebody or not sell it, maybe lease it. You know, कि इतने time के लिए you can use it and then let them make games on it or remaster it or whatever. But I don't see them outright selling Metal Gear because
definitely
if they sell it थोड़ा ज़्यादा पैसा है उसमें.
Metal Gear can even मुझे लगता है उनके Metal Gear 1 2 3 का like a proper remake collection आ जाए that can sell a lot. MGS मुझे लगता है new Metal Gear game will sell a lot. MGS 5 was उस year का one of the best sellers for months. I remember it being on the top 10 and MGS 5 का multiplayer a lot of people didn't play it because मुझे लग रहा है उसका कोई ढंग से marketing ही नहीं हुआ. But I loved playing that multiplayer man. That was kick-ass multiplayer था उसका ना like great shooting, weird wacky stealth stuff, really fun to play. I enjoyed playing उसका PS4 पे मैं उसका multiplayer खेलता था. Really enjoyed playing it and I hope कि like not the invasion वाला there was an invasion mechanic like other players could invade your base of operation होता था MGS5 में you could invade that and तुम्हें अपने base of operation में security turrets and all लगाने होते. That was fun. Invasion वाला mechanic but there was like a proper versus multiplayer team 5 versus 5.
I think it was called MGS Online 2.
MGS Online. Yeah, MGS Online. That was a lot of fun and yeah, I hope it makes a comeback. Like I cannot imagine MGS जैसा IP remaining dead. वो भी MGS like a relevant IP. ऐसा भी नहीं कि it's like 30-year-old IP जो अभी nobody cares. It's like it's still fresh in memory. Still one of the best third-person action adventure games, both on console and PC. A great engine, Fox engine, which really allows for a lot of fun gameplay stuff. What do you guys think?
I just saw an article, literally posted 1 hour ago maybe. An insider and leaker known as account NGT was asked if there was a Metal Gear Solid remake in the works and he just replied saying yes.
Oh,
that's it.
चलो Rakshit, that's your answer. कुछ तो होके आएगा.
पता नहीं कौन सा Metal Gear, पता नहीं who's making it, but someone asked him is there an MGS remake in the works and he said yes.
I hope कि Metal Gear survive का remake हो. That's what we need.
Hey man, if they can make it fun, that could work. If they can make it fun.
I hope it doesn't work. Sushir, Ravi, what do you guys think? Any love hey, MGS4 का remake आना चाहिए. That's stuck on PS3. But yeah, go on.
Cloud stream करो उसको.
I seriously think Konami wouldn't touch Metal Gear Solid in the video game sense for a few years now. I mean, they've been burnt with that last game that they did, and they're not going to go ahead. Yeah, I think Darren is right. They might like lease it, or they might license it out for some time. Uh, I think the onus lies on Sony. Sony should go ahead. I think Sony is the right kind of platform where a game like this can really prosper. But I seriously don't think Konami would have anything to do with it for now.
Yeah, same for me. Konami is not doing anything anyway, so they're not gonna do anything anyway. Like for good amount of time. So I hope it goes to someone like kuch ho, like, because I obviously like I also want like a new Metal Gear Solid, yeah, kuch to like something, because it was such a good game. So Konami is dead. Their games are like, it's not dead yet. We have two games chilling maybe, but
eFootball.
eFootball, that's what they want. But like if according to account NGT, who has like, he has been known for a lot of leaks to came true. So if he says there is a remake or remaster, whatever,
remake,
if there's a remake, it's very interesting. I'm not so sure कि वो कितना true क्या नहीं है, but I hope something happens.
I also hope that if they decide to make a new game, whoever decide, like मान ले in the future someone decides to make a Metal Gear new game, they license it. I hope it's not to a big studio. I hope it's not to an EA or a Ubisoft or whoever big. I hope it's to some out of the blue random person. Joseph Fares ko de do. I want some, because the thing about Metal Gear has always been how weird and absurd it is, right? You have the cool elements of it, but what makes Metal Gear so memorable is just dumb, stupid shit in it. Like just how the storyline is just पल्ले ही नहीं पड़ता किसी के. अभी तक वीडियो देखोगे तुम 1 घंटा बैठ के तब भी समझ नहीं आएगा. That's what I want to I want that absurdity to remain in whoever takes it. Kojima had that weird Western movie wala, thing he wanted to add, and he did that. Maybe Yoko Taro could make a Metal Gear game of that caliber, with his own weirdness. Maybe somebody from the Yakuza studios could do it. Maybe I say these names because I know they've done stupid shit. That is amazing.
Because Snake and Quiet can really do It Takes Two, right?
Yeah. Imagine.
But I think the funny thing that the reason why I mentioned Sony was that Sony hogged all the limelight regarding that the KOTOR remake, right? And it is something very, very important to fans, and getting that seriously exclusive on like console exclusive for the PlayStation means a lot for the fans of KOTOR. Something like this for Sony would be a big win, and I'm just waiting. Like if Sony does that, I'll be really happy and excited for the game.
Or just to play that microwave section in MGS4 again on a PS5.
बटन मैशिंग एकदम उखड़ के आ रहा है एक्सप्लोजन. एंड देन सून एज ही डाइज, उसका जो पूरा जो ग्रुप है दे गो एयरपोर्ट पे ही शादी कर लेते हैं. आई थॉट दैट वाज हिलेरियस कि ये मरते ही सब जस्ट लाइक अ वेडिंग सेलिब्रेशन हैपनिंग. नोबडी गिव अ शिट, ये आदमी मर गया फॉर अस.
That's what I want them to do if they make a sequel.
Shit.
Great
The
game
stupid
though. Fuck man.
My hand is possessing me. This hand is Ocelot's hand.
All right. Next comment. Yash Jaiswal say hilarious comment. I really enjoyed this. हम वो बात कर रहे थे ना like games moments that made you cry and all. Yash कहता अरे why no one discussed about RTM's death? He died fighting a King Kong due to his stupid idiotic wife. Very underrated cry. And I loved how he put the comment also. But yeah, I thought that was a good laugh. Hey, uska wife wasn't very stupid or idiotic, but yeah, she did cough up and die. Nahi, cough up but survived.
Wait, everyone dies in Exodus?
Nahi, nobody dies. Somebody dies, but
someone dies.
Not to worry. Yeah.
But yeah,
I know that game has multiple endings है कुछ.
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Multiple
endings. At least I think so. एक और ending भी है. I think so.
I think good ending, bad ending.
Good ending, bad ending. दो ending तो है.
अच्छा ऐसा कुछ है. Okay. I don't know which ending I got.
Yeah, we know the fate of Russia. So
that's the real ending. All right, चलो next comment, and this comment is where it's like the topic of the show आज के लिए. तो ये तुर्बयान ने had put out a
Hold
thought.
on, Manas. Are you saying this is the comment of the week?
Could be, yeah. This could be the. This
Patake
is
bajao
actually.
music. Comment of the week.
All right. तो ये comment of the week comes from तुर्बयान दास. उसका thought था कि like video games as art, but what he's saying is not कि video games are art. He's both asking and wanting video games to be art, and he's asking कि hey, can video games be art? तो इसका like before we Darren तो already मतलब वो verdict has been passed from Darren, but उसके arguments for like थोड़े मतलब multiple points है, तो I'll kind of उसका gist मैं देता हूँ. If you want we can go point by point, point by point एक line opinion दे देना, and then we'll discuss the overall topic once we're done with the points. Total 8 points है, तो will take a while. पहला point था video game stories. मैंने भी इसको टेबल बना के पॉइंट्स में डिस्कस किया, जो मैंने अपने पढ़ाई में कभी नहीं किया. तो एनीवेज तुर्बयान, योर कमेंट इज बीइंग डीपली डाइसेक्टेड एंड डिस्कस्ड. पहला पॉइंट है कि वीडियो गेम स्टोरीज आर यूजुअली नॉट एज गुड एज अ बुक और मूवी और टीवी शो. इफ यू रिमूव द गेम प्ले, द रेस्ट ऑफ इट barely holds up. This I thought for the most part, yeah, I agree with it, unless it's a walking simulator which already has stripped away the gameplay, and वहाँ पे the entire focus is a story. So जैसे for example What Remains of Edith Finch and all, but even then I feel कि that exact same story could still maybe be done better in a movie or a book. The only counter to it being, you know, that interactivity is what makes the experience kind of special.
Yeah.
वैसे वो. What do you guys think about this first point?
I mean, it is part of the medium, right? If you're watching a movie, you're watching it, you're looking at it. If you're listening to an audio podcast or an audio book, you're listening to it. That's its form of how you consume it. A video game is not a game if it's just cutscenes, right? It's a movie then. If the story is being told through cutscenes or through gameplay, it doesn't matter, because you have to be actively engaged in a game to receive the story, right? So that's what I feel ki if you remove the gameplay part, then it's not a game, then it's an animated show or something. That is what makes games a game, right? You layer unique to it.
That I think even Turbayan agrees. Like वो कह रहा है कि जैसे if you like tell a game जिसका gameplay सब हटा दिया, तो भी does the story still hold up as good as a book? And even I'll say the example Disco Elysium में भी मुझे लगता है कि like being a game is what makes as good as that story is, but to interacting with that is what makes Disco Elysium special. तो अगर उसमें से gameplay हटा, that story is not as good as like a book का या movie का story. The only exception I kind of feel is where something like a Last of Us 2, but उसमें ही मुझे लगता है that playing and that aggression being part of that adds to the aggression and the intensity of that story. तो वहाँ पे भी कहीं ना कहीं like you're still playing it. कोई ऐसा game है
I would say maybe God of War. God of War is pretty.
हटा दो तो that story is तो फिर तो बहुत ही falls apart, नहीं?
Does it?
I guess I think it might hold up, because most of it is done through, like, there's no cutscenes, right? It's just one shot, and the whole thing. So it's like once you remove the combat, it's just the cutscene parts. Like the story still holds up.
Even जो God of War का like one of the awesome moments I remember is like finding थोड़े spoilers होंगे इस discussion में, spoiler alert, but was finding the chaos blades वो है ना, but finding that blade is a great moment, but because you know कि like hey अभी तक how you were kind of holding back and now kind of unleashing that rage, and you unleashing it by playing, interacting with it. मुझे लग रहा है like removing all that gameplay, that moment is it that good of a moment अगर वो gameplay नहीं है attached to it, नहीं?
There are some moments, I believe. Yeah, true. There's
some moments, but मैं overall story, like can you think of a game जिसका like strip away the gameplay entirely and the story still holds up? Like,
yeah, I will have some games that you have mentioned, like Edith Finch wala. That is probably one, but I think Life is Strange, Walking Dead.
Life is Strange का story as good as like a book.
Yes,
really?
I think so.
I think it holds up equally to the kind of stories in that are there in the Robert Kirkman comics, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It like the quality is almost the same regarding the video games. Yeah.
Let's
the storytelling.
Say Wolf Among Us.
But
Wolf Among Us. But yeah, it's I said like how like, because when I see Walking Dead for 4 seasons completely, na, so it's like how the characters have grown. It's literally like a book, because you have different chapters that go this long, and it's interactive a little bit, and there's choices just a little bit, but if you take that away, the choices doesn't really matter. The choices that you make, it doesn't really matter. So if you just take that away and you see the whole thing, you will understand everything, every sense of emotion. You will understand it all together. If you watch just cutscene of season 1, you will cry at the end. Yeah, you will have an emotional moment at the end with Lee. It's a thing, like in those games, I feel like if you take away gameplay, because gameplay is not the main important thing, it's always storytelling. Life is Strange has the exact same thing. Even Life is Strange, all the Life is Strange games. Wolf Among Us has the same thing. All Telltale games. So those games, I feel like I think even games like Firewatch will, maybe not exactly Firewatch, but like these type of games, I think if you take away the story, it will still hold pretty good. Any game that is more focused on particular just showing the story and has very minimalistic gameplay, like almost very minimalistic, then that will be the game.
I think I was thinking about what if Mass Effect is one of those where the broader story still holds up, right? You might not get that, because in the game when you play it, you interact with people and you get story. Now, like from the people you get stories, from the aliens you get information and all that. But the broader picture sort of could hold up, where it's a sci-fi thing where there is a chosen one. Essentially, he's not chosen really, but there is Shepard who tries to save humanity, right? That sort of thing can hold up, because again in the gameplay you're just shooting aliens or picking decisions, Renegade or Paragon, you know. So it could either be a choose your own adventure book, Goosebumps की जैसे आती थी,
yeah,
where you choose Paragon or Renegade, and it still holds up because it's just story being told through gameplay.
I have a little different take on this. Just hear me out regarding that.
No.
I think that never. But I think the problem here is that the comparison I feel is little unjustified, and the reason I feel that is because, like, till now, before video games, that every form of media was passive. So we have had books, which is the written word. You read it and then you think about it in your head. Then it came through the radio, only audio. The technology got better, then we get only audio. Someone is speaking, I'm forming all the worlds in my head. I'm forming the characters and how they look and how they're interacting. Then came the silent movie, only the picture. Then came talkie movies, full color and everything. And right now it has taken that, like, till then it was all passive, and we can understand it that entertainment or art or any kind of story, whichever was being said, was in a very passive manner. I think the reason why this is unjustified, this comparison is unjustified, because gaming brings in that level of interaction, which is you make choices or you do something, a sense of agency, which, for example, take for example adaptations, right? Like Witcher, the books are there, the books are really good, like seriously good books, but the games are good too. It provides you that story, that narrative. You make a different choice than what the author might have told you about, and the story goes in a different direction. The same with Mass Effect. A Mass Effect book would have been good. It's a really good space opera, stands up with one of the best space operas written in books till now. But then you get to make the choices as to what companions you will get, who will accompany you to the fight. For example, you choose something like Red Dead Redemption 2, and it, like, people who really like Western movies and Western books, they really praise this game because it nails the emotion, it nails the atmosphere, and moreover, it nails the fact that what that era brought into a man, like how a human being behaved, and you got stuck into making a rock in a hard place, and that is wonderfully showed in that video game. So I think this is unjustified, because then you are comparing, it's like apples with oranges. So even though, like, what video game stories will stand out without their gameplay removed, no, like it's like saying what books will stand out if you remove all the chapters. So I think that's that kind of a comparison.
Modern movies, if you remove the CGI from it,
yeah. So
Oh my
Marvel movies से CGI हटा दो, so it doesn't work well,
सिर्फ
right?
टाइटल कार्ड रह जाएगा।
Yeah.
वो भी नहीं होगा,
वो एंड क्रेडिट्स में भी। वैसे बट मुझे लगा था इसका पॉइंट, लाइक आई एक्चुअली वुड like to see this. मतलब कोई ऐसा game जिसका story is so good कि you strip away the entire gameplay and it's still like hooks you. मतलब as good as a book, like वो ना उसका script is as good as a book, वैसा कुछ हो तो I actually would like to see वो. मुझे एक एग्जाम्पल स्ट्राइक किया था मे बी बायोशॉक का स्टोरी, बट उस पे मुझे लगता है लाइक यू गेटिंग you agreeing to do all those things and like will you kindly wala pura wo cheez and then ending with that twist is what I think. तो वो your participation again like उसमें your part मैं करूँ I'm trying to think like I actually I agree with Sushir what you're saying वो जो कि ना the comparison is a bit harsh maybe like it's not fair, but I would like with this unfair comparison games rising to the occasion कि like fuck yeah dude like we can do this also. मुझे लगता है with time maybe we can get there. है ना like but I still feel कि video games are like great in the overall package, but I would like to see what Turbayan जो वो कर रहा है ना pause it
I think there might be one game I think it's called Her Story. I think that is very interactive.
But again मुझे लगता है Her Story is like interactive but not like a game like मैं कह रहा हूँ like think of a triple A like a Witcher 3 and you tell me like a Witcher 3 जैसा game, not Edith Finch, not जहाँ पे gameplay limited है, like full on gameplay that the game not maybe Witcher 3 is not like a Elden Ring या कुछ Elden Ring जैसा game हो जिसका like full on the gameplay is great, looks great, immersive है, and उसका story is as good as a book का story or a movie का story.
I know Manas, but I think whenever these like kind of things like make the jump, like let's give for example we all I won't say we all we like The Last of Us part 1 and part 2. At least the people sitting over here. I don't know about the people down in the comments below. Some people might not like it, but especially when it's now taking the jump, right? It's going to another medium. It's cutting out that interactive part. So story changes have to be made. Like when a book is being made into a movie, then a screenplay needs to be made, right? Certain changes are to be made कि अभी एक text medium से एक visual medium पे आ रहा है तो कुछ changes होंगे उसमें. So I think whenever we are trying to understand that gameplay हटा दो तो game कैसे खड़ा रहेगा, I think that is how I think we are unjustly qualifying for it. Like मतलब you are taking a very intrinsic part of what it itself stands for and then trying to judge it. That is what I'm trying to say.
I think in games it is just become that your story is so tightly intertwined with your gameplay, especially in modern AAA games. You can't separate the two from it. Like so much of your story is told through the environment, through interactions, through little one-liners here and there, right? That if you strip that away, I think then if you're making a book or a movie, you have to take those elements and transpose them somehow into it so that it makes sense. Because otherwise, then it's just like you went here, you met these people. Okay, now what? Cut to scene B where they're going to another location and having a conversation. Cut to scene C where they're having another conversation. So you lose that lot of in between environmental and character development and storytelling that happens as you're playing the game and progressing, because that is also so is almost every game nowadays. Take Witcher also for example, right? Even Geralt just walking with his horse when you're just traveling from A to B, you can see his character and how he interacts with like, oh, wind's howling, or he'll talk to roads or something or the other, right? So I think that you lose that moving it from any medium to the other.
Right.
Yeah. And मुझे लगता है maybe Last of Us is a Last of Us 1 2 उसका रीमेक अगर जो रीमेक करो जो अभी टीवी शो आ रहा है, if that ends up holding up, I think that will be a good test to see कि अच्छा पूरा गेम प्ले हटा दिया and the story they're sticking to the story as it was in the Last of Us 1 and yeah could be fun. Let's see. Okay, चलो next point पे move करते हैं. This मुझे लगा this we can easily थोड़ा counter not कि Turbayan is like
counter करेंगे तुझे हम Turbayan तू देख
नहीं like उसने तो बस idea put किया है and for us to discuss. Games don't have a sense of timelessness. ये मुझे लगता है if you look generally तुम देखो games में of course games can get dated नहीं with time, visuals हो गया, gameplay design हो गया, mechanics हो गए, but मुझे लगता है rare stuff. Let's say immediately Disco Elysium came to mind, that art style. I think art style is what can make the visuals timeless. Fortnite is a game जो मैं खेलता भी नहीं, but I cannot imagine कि what will make Fortnite feel outdated नहीं. Like I mean engine upgrades and water physics and all, but overall that art will hold up. वो जैसे वो लगा लो what's that farming sim wala game that you can play in co-op?
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. Can you imagine that game feeling outdated? Matlab, it's already pixel art, gorgeous pixel art. Hyper Light Drifter came to mind. Gorgeous looking game that can last
maybe
forever. Undertale,
Undertale.
maybe Undertale तो अभी से ugly दिखता है, तो I don't know what to say. It's a good game and all, but मतलब just
Transistor.
Transistor is a
Hades.
good example. Hades, yeah, Hades could be, but Hades में मुझे लगता है maybe eventually fidelity, sharpness, particle effects वगैरह जहाँ पे आ जाता है ना, it could be थोड़ा different. अगर particle effects are fully stylized, तो मुझे लगता है इसका तो है कि ना, it's on the art. If the gameplay is solid, एक हाँ art direction है ना, जैसे for example the older Halo games, उसका if you play the Master Chief Collection, you can very easily see how different and how modern they look in the modern नहीं, but how much of that, how much of a visual upgrade that is. Diablo collection, Diablo का जब 2 का जो वो आया था, Diablo 2 Resurrected, you can use that toggle. I think that toggle is like a very good reminder of how far along games have come. But कुछ games I feel ki have the power to really be timeless. What do you guys think?
I like, for example, since you mentioned that, like, stylistic art choices can definitely lengthen the age of a game, like it make it feel like not a product of its times. Like for example, Okami, right? That's a really fantastic game. Even today, you boot it up, you play it, and that game is a banger from start to the finish. But also think of something like Half-Life 2, right? It came a long time back, but still the basic aesthetics of the lighting and how even without like photorealism or something that they try to get to that kind of art style, it's still something that people can play through and not really worry about what the problem is. Something like Portal, people can play it even now. So I think the timelessness thing can also be done with creating, having a
design.
very like Limbo, Braid, all these games people can play any
Limbo,
point of
Braid,
time, and still it just holds up. So if graphics is the only thing that you're looking at, like dated, then maybe in other mediums, like think of sci-fi movies 30 years back.
Star Wars.
You might not like it, right? Seeing it now, you might think, okay, the graphics is a little dated and everything. Like I remember, for example, Jurassic Park, the first one, Steven Spielberg, right? I think it had like 90 seconds plus of actual CGI. Like everything else was like animatronics and puppet, right? So, but it holds on better than Abhi ke rubber dinosaurs. Abhi ke dinosaurs to lagte hai ki I mean, it doesn't look real. That's the problem. It doesn't look real. वो डर नहीं लगता जैसा मतलब पहला वाला देखने से अभी भी लगता है. So timelessness thing can be a product and be created right now and feel dated right away. And
Babylon's Fall.
And there can be certain games which can you play for a long time. And I think the dated thing is also a bit of perspective. So there are certain games that we'll keep going back to even though we know they are dated, because we really like them and we really love them. Like Manas will keep on going back to Stalker even though the new Stalker comes out. So,
but then I'll go back to Stalker with mods and all. So I मुझे तुर्बयान का point interesting लगा कि ना, like there are a lot of games that which we love now, but ये timeless. जैसे I cannot go back to a lot of games जो मैं पहले खेलता था क्योंकि उसका अच्छा Prince of Persia games are a good example. पुराने I loved those games उस time. I cannot play those games अब, मतलब हो ही नहीं सकता है वैसे ना. तो पुराने Cypher Filter games like the classics, but you cannot play them abhi, like very hard to control and all. So yeah, but good point, Turbayan. Like I mean, it actually made us think of like some games
I
actually
think
timeless.
in the current generation, I think 360 PS3 generation onwards, I think once the shift from 3D polygons started to happen away from that, like once those time they were trying to be more polygons, more 3D, more photorealistic, right? And then 360 had the Xbox marketplace where we saw indie games come into play. I think once indie games started to get steam is when we really started to see a lot of people put in really good visual style elements into their game to make it look polished, even though it's a small game, right? I think indie games are usually better at feeling timeless. Like Journey. Take Journey for example. Amazing, still holds up. Hyper Light Drifter, like Manas said, a lot of pixel based games still hold up because they do well. I think next Machina, which is वो Returnal वालों का previous game. I think even that still holds up because of its voxel look. Lot of games still hold up because I think even if you ask me, I think Dark Souls 1 has an amazing art style and like visual design, while thoda sa photorealistic, impressive looking, very clean, very stylized in that specific way. So
Right.
games can Red Dead 1 even though
Yeah.
it might not look photorealistic, like the skyboxes, the way the light interacts with the world, and just the day night cycle looks very very good.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of these games may, for example, like Red Dead, all they need is like a resolution upgrade. They
Yeah.
don't need any major change or anything. So I get it. चलो नेक्स्ट पॉइंट तुर्बिया के उसमें कि ना लाइक दिस इज नॉट समथिंग लाइक हमने ऑलरेडी डिस्कस करके क्लैरिफाई कर लिया, बट आई थॉट इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट कि ना मोस्ट स्टोरीज इन गेम्स आर ऑलरेडी डन बेटर एल्सवेयर. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर ज़ॉम्बी वाला गेम है तो ज़ॉम्बी वाली स्टोरीज यू मे बी फाइंड बेटर इन लाइक अदर मीडियम्स. फेयर पॉइंट. जो मतलब एंड उसका काउंटर भी है लाइक अ लॉट ऑफ इट हैज बीन डन बेटर, बट वो ओवरऑल जो व्हाट गेम्स ऑफर कैन समटाइम्स दैट एक्सपीरियंस कैन बी बेटर. तो बट इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट. This is a good one. Next point is there's a lack of games that are truly art. For example, Marvel movies are one thing, but there's also Parasite, Citizen Kane, which are like एकदम classics माने जाते हैं. And games like Disco या Kentucky Route Zero are too few. But मुझे लगता है कि like at this point I feel कि there are more games, maybe timelessness वगैरह सब में नहीं है, but something like a BioShock, something like What Remains of Edith Finch, and lots. मुझे लग रहा है there's like too many to name even कि ना like games which are definitely like masterpieces. Art Nier Automata मुझे लगता है ugly looking game, लेकिन that game is incredible, like what it does, and वो that even if it doesn't look great and आगे खेलना मुश्किल होगा, but it's definitely a piece of art right now.
I think just going back to way back to Doom, the original Doom, in my opinion, is a piece of art. Might not be from a story or like a visual standpoint, but from the way it was made, like the coding standpoint, the work that went into it, it is an incredible feat of what they pulled off, right? But if you want to talk in the broader spectrum of games that are not just technical masterpieces but an overall good enjoyable like movie book package, I think there are a lot of games that come to that. I don't think it should be only related to story, because again games have a medium of interactivity and pulling you into that world, where Journey is an amazing masterpiece that I would say is art. Again, a lot of indie games, Journey, it takes to not art in the way, but it's amazing in its own self. Little Nightmares, again, really good. I don't want to talk about Mass Effect, Persona, and all of that, because in my opinion, Persona 5 is a masterpiece, like just with the visual standpoint. I think Mass Effect as a space opera is a masterpiece. I think Metal Gear as its own thing is a masterpiece that you can't describe. Nier Automata is its own thing. Red Dead, again, 1 and 2 both are their own thing. There are a lot of masterpieces, but it depends on how you describe it. Is it only a story standpoint? Is it from a technical standpoint of what it could do? Like the original Pokemon game on the Game Boy is a masterpiece because of how they managed to compress everything and put it on there. I think the lot of games that have managed to pull off insane things on their hardware are masterpieces. If you want just story, you have Last of Us and all of that. If you want gameplay, you have Half-Life, you have all these sort of games. So it depends on what you classify as a masterpiece, what you're looking for in a masterpiece from a game, because you have to keep in mind that it's not just story. There's a lot that comes to make, like Citizen Kane is not a insane story movie, but it's insane for what it ended up doing, right? For its cinematic shots and all of that, for the things it set up for future films to follow. So that way games also have that, but a lot of people just don't know about it.
Man, I just want to shine a little bit on the numbers, because the comparison is coming like so many movies are there which are like good, but so many games, like just like the question says, like regarding the numbers. So think about the number of Hollywood movies which come out each year. Okay, so I'm not talking about the COVID period. Let's go back a little bit before the COVID period. That was searching. So 800 plus movies came out in 2019. तो 800 प्लस मूवीज में तुमने कितने देखे हैं? मतलब नॉट मेनी.
कितने देखे पता?
मतलब I think we all together I think we would average maybe 100. Not, I don't think more than that.
maybe.
Let's say
let's say 100 सब game में मिला के.
Yeah. So and a number of games which come out each year, like Steam पे last year कितने games आए? It's 7,800 something. 8,000 के करीब games release हो रहे हैं. तो definitely के बहुत सारे, because the number of like the budget एक video गेम बनाने के लिए जो लगता है छोटा वीडियो गेम और एक मूवी बनाने में बहुत फर्क है. उसीलिए हॉलीवुड मूवी ज्यादा पैसा लग रहा है. पर थिंक अबाउट द ट्रिपल ए गेम्स व्हिच आर रिलीजिंग. तो the number of AAA games which are releasing which are really good is quite high, like rather than Hollywood movies which go bust. So मतलब वो Babylon's Fall कभी एक दो बार आ जाता है, Avengers आ जाता है, पर usually they have a clear cut understanding कि इतने पैसे खर्चा कर रहे हैं तो अच्छा कुछ निकालना पड़ेगा मार्केट से. So if you take numbers, then there are a whole lot of more games in numbers which come out which are good to play, good to rather than if you compare movies or any other thing. खराब movies भी निकलते हैं, वैसे खराब games भी निकलते हैं.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to say to Turbayan.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with, like I was about to say Sushir कि ना, like not with all the numbers you added up. उसके अलावा what I was going to say is कि I have definitely played more good games in the last year than I have seen good movies. There are definitely great movies. Definitely great, but I feel कि right now ऐसा situation आ गया कि, or maybe it's just my exposure and knowledge, but I really think कि मैं enough movies and TV shows भी ढूंढता हूँ to watch and all. I am very sure right now we're at a point where we're getting more good movies more good games than movies or TV show. And to kind of add up to that point is what Turbayan says next, like comics like Mouse, Persepolis, and I've added Watchmen have changed the perception of comics as mindless entertainment. Can games do the same? मुझे लग रहा है games are already at the level where वो quality provide कर रहा है in terms of entertainment, depth, emotion, experience, all of it. Maybe वो general perception पूरा change नहीं हुआ, but we're definitely on the right track to do that. Of course, there are some fumbles along the way with stories you hear of ना, किसी ने microtransaction में ज़्यादा खर्च दिए, parents का saving ले लिया, or you hear about all the NFT stuff, which sounds like it's painting a negative picture on the gaming का overall scenario जो है. But I feel कि we're already on the right track with the good that is coming out of games. We're on the right track.
Just two comparisons over there. Turban's question, like a very it hits the nail hard, really, where it belongs. The thing is that first of all, let's talk about context, societal context, which is like America में शायद comics और games एक level पे मतलब standard maintain हो चुके हैं कि adults also play and everything. India में अभी तक वैसा नहीं है. अभी भी बहुत सारे there are people out here who will be like you are 30 plus years old, how are you still playing video games? So वो वैसा किस्म का भी हो गया है. वीडियो गेम्स एंड कॉमिक्स राइट नाउ इन इंडिया सोसाइटल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अभी भी बच्चे लोग ही खेलते हैं. तो यहाँ पे इंडिया में बहुत आदमी लोग को नहीं पता कि ग्राफिक नॉवेल्स होते हैं जो बहुत मतलब अलग किस्म के होते हैं. ठीक है. एंड थिंक ऑफ इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट मॉस, इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वॉचमैन, तो दोज आर लाइक हाउ विल आई से वो ग्राफिक नॉवेल्स. पर बिकते कौन से ज्यादा है? स्पाइडरमैन, सुपरमैन जो निकलते हैं, बैटमैन, राइट, जो बिग ब्लॉकबस्टर्स बड़े नेम्स हैं वो ज्यादा बिकते हैं.
Guess who's back?
Whoa.
And guess what's gone?
Sudden entry.
नीचे गई. Looks very
Surprise.
weird. Why did you do this, man?
अनजान आदमी कौन है?
New guest to give away.
It's a true story. It's a true story. वैसे like back before COVID times, I went to my office clean shave. It was like after 1.5 years, and they legit did not recognize me. Like I stood in the meeting and everybody was like, "There's a new hire in." Until I spoke, they were like, "Who is this person standing at the back of the office?"
Ayush, यहाँ पे to set context, we're talking about कि ना our video games art वाला हो. But when I messaged
my
you
favorite topic.
Yeah, but when I messaged you, तो that was like 15 minutes ago. The topic almost wrap up होने वाला है. But we can, I'll come back around to you for your thoughts. हाँ? सुशीर को फिनिश अप करने दो. गो ऑन.
या तो वो सोसाइटल कॉन्टेक्स्ट वाला तो बोल दिया मैंने. दूसरा वाला है कि जैसे फॉर अ मॉस देयर इज अ सुपरमैन जस्टिस लीग कॉमिक, ठीक है, जो ज्यादा बिकेगा इन सेल्स, मतलब वर्ल्ड वाइड चिल्ड्रन, मोर चिल्ड्रन विल बाय इट. तो सिमिलरली वैसा वीडियो गेम्स के लिए डिस्को एलिजियम वाला गेम्स बनेंगे जो आर्ट है, पर कॉल ऑफ ड्यूटी ज्यादा बिकेंगे क्योंकि बहुत सारे आदमी लोग वो ज्यादा खेलेंगे. So people will buy into a console to play that kind of a game. So I think again, like comics have become a mature medium, but comics sales or video game sales में कोई मतलब there is no comparison. Video game sales have crossed everything. So it's the highest grossing media platform of all time. So and similarly बच्चे लोग वहां पे भी पढ़ते हैं और बड़े लोग भी पढ़ते हैं. यहाँ पे भी वीडियो गेम्स में there is a place for Call of Duty mindlessness, and there is a place for
Candy
the
Crush.
thinking man's Call of Duty Disco Elysium.
But
Seriously.
I also feel, to add to Sushir's point, he talked about वो societal वो ना. I also feel कि we will always be at a point where games will not be given that respect because of the interactive element of it, where people will say, oh, you're shooting things, oh, you're destroying things. Like, if any game, lot of games have, things would be termed violent, right? You're breaking boxes, rolling through things, shooting, whatever, right? Most, take Uncharted, take Last of Us, right? These are great blockbuster stories, but there is a thoda wo violent side to it, right? Which you are actively partaking in, which people will always have a problem with, which you won't see in people talk about in movies, because you're just watching someone else's thing. You're not actively doing it yourself. तो वो हमेशा रहेगा, and that will always be a barrier to people saying कि I don't think this deserves to be recognized, because
True.
it's something that's making, from some point of view, making you bad or making you perform bad things. वो तो रहेगा ही रहेगा.
But also, like, in contrast to that, like, मैंने देखा है कि in comparison to like 10 years ago, जब when I used to play games and perception काफी अलग था. But now जैसे even people who don't play games, जैसे सुनीति and उसके friends, सुनीति तब भी खेलते but उसके friends नहीं खेलते ना. But right now even they look at games very differently. जैसे like playing games is cool even for them. Like when they hear कि like मैं कुछ या when they check see ना, कभी आते हैं घर, वो देखते हैं see the games on a console वगैरह, for them it's like damn cool dude, like you're doing this, like उनको लगता है कि they are out of touch, like they are missing out. मतलब gaming अभी उस level पे तो आ गया है कि yeah, gaming has come to that level where I can see in their faces कि ना shit, like they feel कि वो कुछ एक interesting medium of storytelling, interaction, experience and like a really fun thing to engage in, they're missing out, and they're getting like a lesser version of that through movies या TV shows. वो interactivity missing है वाला वो ना. But the final point here, which I think is again another interesting point that Turbayan makes, stories made of plot, characters, lore. Games have lore and characters, but a lot of games don't have heavy plot, which I thought again like fair point. अगर तुम broadly देखो तो, of course movies में फिर से काफी कचड़ा होता है वैसे, but books वगैरह में like there's story, there's I mean book में तो story पे तो बहुत ही focus है, then ऊपर से lore है and characters है, like plot, lower plot characters. Games में होता है काफी बारी कि there's a lot of backstory and lore, and that is visible I guess maybe like something like a Destiny, even something like a Elden Ring, जिसमें you will see there's rich in lore, memorable characters, but वो story like इतना clarity नहीं मिल रहा है at times, yeah, it's not that compelling. So I thought it was a fair point to make, but what do you guys think?
Can I go?
Yeah.
I want to say कि again this brings back to the interactivity part of games, where unless you're playing a linear game, right, a very linear game, you cannot really speed up plot. Movies are very short, right? They're very condensed. Books are very, again, finite. उनको पता है कि तुम एक पेज से दूसरे पेज ही जाओगे, right? What happens? TV shows a little more spread out, but again, they are limited to their episode ka plot. What happens in games is the developer does not know how fast or slow you're going to go, so they have to spread out the plot over the course of you doing multiple things, which is why the plot feels bare bones in a lot of things. A lot of games which are lauded for having good plot, not just character or writing or something, good plot, tend to be more linear games where you're getting to the plot, hitting those plot points back to back. But let's say Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example. Okay, I know it's not a good example, but still, there is plot in that game, but it is so freaking spread out because of the scope of the game. It's not really existent, right? It's
but
very boring. You're not
shouldn't
interested.
we be demanding कि ना even जो side stuff है, random stuff है, make all of that, elevate that, make it even more. जैसे Assassin's Creed did try to do that, and I think it succeeded in a lot of ways, the world events वगैरह के through, or even take some open, जैसे Witcher had a lot of good stuff. Horizon is a great example of incredible back-to-back side quests are amazing. Horizon Forbidden West में तो मुझे लगता है कि like let's actually मतलब इस वाले point में I kind of want what Turbayan is saying to happen कि ना like yeah, like push it even further, like do every bit of side content, make it more meaningful. जैसे मुझे याद है Watch Dogs one where there were like a series of side missions where you're tracking down a serial killer, multiple clues and hints मिला के, like that was a series of collectible quest actually, which led to like an interesting conclusion to the end of it. मतलब I want to see like उस मामले में बोलूँगा या like अगर तुम्हें फ्लफ के चक्कर में, और इफ यू हैव टू क्रिएट जस्ट कंटेंट के नाम पे, या फिर टाइम add a 60 hour mark to your game उस चक्कर में, if you're adding content, do better with it, नहीं, like make all the side content even more compelling. Just because you're saying कि इसमें interactivity है, that's why this is lacking, तो that's थोड़ा सा मतलब we're giving them a pass. मुझे लगता है कि like hey, अगर interactivity है, make that more compelling.
Right.
If I'm collecting something, make a story around every single collectible, all of it.
Yeah, and I think in that context, I don't know whether you guys will agree or not, right? Horizon Forbidden West really, rises to that, to that occasion, because Forbidden West, even the side stories and everything are so compelling that you feel that they are part of the main story. You feel that it's a part of the adventure that you are in. So, it might not be any Valhalla crime, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, but this is a whole new thing in its own. The medium is evolving, other mediums are evolving, but video games are evolving at a faster pace. Lots more people from different kinds of medium are working on this field, and I think if you look harder, there are stories and everything which are compelling, are compelling in the sense where every moment is compelling enough for you to pay attention. Let's take for example, something like Return of the Obra Dinn, right? Like that kind of disjointed linear thing, non-linear thing. You can't. It's very difficult to get into a book format or a movie format, but it tells its own story in such a interesting way because of the medium that it has access to. So that's why I think video games, they are getting better, and you have certain really good stuff to look out for.
Awesome. चलो to wrap it up for Ayush, एक वो ना आयुष के thoughts लेने के लिए, तो आयुष, तुर्बयान का like what he said was कि he's not saying कि video games are not art, but he's saying कि like वो कुछ अपने points डाल रहा है कि ना, like what makes him think कि books and movies are still better, and we're kind of trying to find examples where games have done something better, or examples of where hey, games could learn from this and do better. For example, Horizon वाला जो last example था ना, hey, that's an example of games में side quest and all they're doing better, but काफी games में नहीं है. It's not Horizon का example is like a rare example. काफी games में कचड़ा भरा हुआ है side content के नाम पे. तो so I'll go quickly through Turbayan के कुछ points. Like video game stories are usually not as good as a book or a movie अगर उसका gameplay strip off कर दो तो, and I think in most cases that is true. And I want कि even if, and I would like to demand more from games कि हाँ, strip down the gameplay and still have a story as good as a book or a movie, like as a good book or a good movie. Then next point था कि क्या बोलते हैं, games don't have a sense of timelessness. जो मुझे लग रहा है he's kind of asking that as a question almost कि ना ऐसा है क्या. But I think a lot of games do have a sense of timelessness, especially जहाँ पे art style is the main focus. With good art design, like वो game dated भी नहीं लगता है देखने में, नहीं, some like a Stardew Valley, Hyper Light Drifter, and even older games के examples है that still look great because वहाँ art style, Disco Elysium, great art style, they'll hold up. Maybe something like a Horizon Zero Dawn या Forbidden West will end up looking dated because technology वो काफी tech focused है, no game, like art focused है तो अलग design है. Then another point he made was कि like hey, most games के stories are already done better elsewhere. जैसे Last of Us जैसा story, somebody could make the example वो The Road जो है उससे inspirations लिए, and that story is kind of brutal road का ना. Even though I think Last of Us is like one of the best examples of good storytelling in like a AAA game. मतलब I don't want to jump directly to like a Edith Finch or something क्योंकि of course वहाँ पे gameplay stripped off है, तो that's like kind of giving the game a crutch to succeed वैसा वाला वो. Then होता है कि then he says कि there is a lack of games that are truly art. Marvel games aside, Marvel के movies aside, Parasite, Citizen Kane, जैसे ना गेम्स उस लेवल के गेम्स कम है. Disco Elysium, Kentucky Route Zero और like again rare examples. Comics का भी you heard the discussion ना कि comics are थोड़ा mainstream acceptance, like art वाला acceptance आ गया है, will games get there? So with all of this context, like Ayush, what do you think?
So I will say this. So when we ask the question whether video game is art, it can only apply to good video games. That question can only apply to good video games. So because all the examples that he takes or he makes are about good books, good movies, and then that should also apply to good video games. So you cannot say कि this is a video game that does not do this, that is why games cannot be art, right? You have to take the examples of good video games. जैसे अभी द रोड की एग्जांपल तुमने दिया, and there's like timelessness of like treasure island या फिर the tale of two cities. These are books that have stood the test of time, but because they are good books.
Yeah.
There are more, much more books written than there are more video games made, है ना? So, and from those books we have taken a sample set where like, see, look at this is art, and then you're comparing it to all sets of video games. You're like, look at this is not art, right? That's not a fair comparison. You have to take the good books, you have to take the good movies, and you have to take good video games, and then you have to compare them. Then look at them at what do they well, and what they do well, and what do other mediums do well, right? उसके
वैसे
बाद
तो
फिर
इन सपोर्ट ऑफ व्हाट यू सेइंग, सुशीर ने थोड़े टाइम पहले पॉइंट बनाया था कि राइट नाउ आई थिंक इफ यू लुक बैक ओवर द लास्ट ईयर we probably have played more good games than we have seen good movies or TV shows. So I think we're already at that point where games itne push out ho rahe कि we're getting there na in terms of sheer quantity itself, like video games are winning. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I'm just like every medium, like the comic books, है ना, the comic book में there is stuff like The Last Man, Wire Strand. There is stuff like Sweet Tooth, and there's stuff they like mainstream stuff like Superman, Batman, which everyone reads. So that exists in video games as well. Mainstream content like Call of Duty, वगैरह, and like TV shows as well, right? Like there's mainstream content which everybody watches, How I Met Your Mother, Friends, and whatnot. And then there is more niche stuff that people watches, anime being a big part of it. Those are very niche stuff that people watch, which are much more art focused, more art design. So, मेरे लिए like I think like if it caters to a wide variety of types of like uh, genres and like tastes, I think it's art, right? Like Marvel movies get a lot of flack, but to tell a story across 10 years takes a lot of art, in my opinion. Like tell a cohesive story across 10 years, across multiple directors, artists, people changing over the period of time. It's a lot of effort, and like Avatar is going to come out. That movie is going to be art because it's going to span 15 years across sequels, right? So so, and I see the same, you know, potential and the work that is done, like Disco Elysium. Like we had a session you guys had a session where you talked about games that made you cry and games that stay with you. And games are timeless, right? Like that moments will stay with you altogether. If you go back to watching Shawshank Redemption, it might seem little long to you now, because it is long. But, there are moments in that movie which stood out to you during that time when the first time they watched you, and that's what should happen, right? And the essence of video game is not the storytelling. Like we have discussed this, like addendum, infinitum. It's not, a video game is not about storytelling. It's about gameplay. Like you don't return to a game because it had a great story. You return to a game because it had great game. So Obra Dinn, it does not try to replicate how mystery in real life works. It tries to create the aspect of mystery through gameplay. Like that mystery, you really are solving something when you are playing Obra Dinn. Instead of like Sherlock Holmes' Crime and Punishment, where it appears you're trying to solve a mystery. Like make connections and whatever clicks gives you a whatever not like solution. So that's what I'm talking about. Like gameplay is the art of video games. It's not the other stuff. Like that's the art, how you come up with new things to do stuff, and then like everything else makes it better. Like the frame, the type, like how the painting. So there's a painting which is in Louvre, right? It's about Napoleon, right? It's a great painting about how Napoleon is standing in his court and there are people around him. But there is a technique to it where even though Napoleon is shown in his right height, he appears taller than everyone else in the painting. So that's a technique they've used, and that makes the painting better. And that's that it's still art, right? That the art of main essence of that painting is the art, the people that have been drawn in. But the technique that uses it makes it great, So when you make a video game, the gameplay is its main essence, but then the graphics, the story, the characters, the voiceovers, everything makes it great, So in my opinion, you just need to find the right game to say it's great.
So this is the reason why to call in reinforcements, get Ayush back from like, Ayush, doesn't matter whatever you're doing, come to this video, help us, because Turbayan is going to like slog it out on us. But like I just want to end this on two things that I want to say. The first thing is a quote from a legend that we all like and one person among us loves. Yeah, kind close. close. We all like one person only loves. So yeah, not there yet, but yeah. So the thing goes that in this 2006 interview of his, he said, video games are not art. Games may contain artwork. The intrinsically popular nature of video games in contrast to the niche interest served by art. Since the highest ideal of all video games is to achieve 100% player satisfaction, whereas art is targeted to at least one person. ये बहुत बड़ा लेजेंड है, उसने बोला है, मैं नाम बोलूंगा तो तुम लोग गाली दोगे. The thing is that I don't agree with him. So this is Hideo Kojima from his 2006 interview.
I knew only he can use such weird words.
PS2 magazine. And the thing is that कि video games 100% player satisfaction होता तो Last of Us Part 2 नहीं बनता. क्योंकि उसमें कोई सेटिस्फाइड नहीं था. जो गेम खेल रहा था, ही वाज थिंकिंग कि इतना क्या बोलते हैं उसको, इतना दुख दर्द इस दुनिया में क्यों है, इस दुनिया में क्यों है, why does so much sadness exist in this world, because to my wallet, to this game which I'm crying now right now at, it's painful to play, painful to go through. So definitely it's not 100% player satisfaction. Hideo Kojima, I like you, Abhi loves you, but it is art. We disagree. So before anybody says that in the comments,
there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with Hideo Kojima on.
But we say,
yeah,
go on.
Yeah, just saying that, मतलब जिस कुछ किसी को भी मतलब ये फिर से सुनना है, आयुष वाला पार्ट फिर से सुनो. I think you'll get an understanding of like gameplay ही art है. You know, that's the TLDR of all of it.
I agree with what Ayush is saying, but I'm still saying I think games are capable of absolutely killing it, killing movies and books. वो story का telling का capacity उस medium में definitely है. And I think in some ways they've shown it.
You're right, है ना? And they're completely right. Like जैसे हमसे ऊपर वाली जो generation थी ना, they watched more movies than they read books.
Right.
Yeah.
है ना? And अभी अपनी generation है, we play more video games than we watch movies and books. मतलब barring some, and like the one after it, like जो 10 years 12 years का gap पे है, like अभी, so they play much more video games than they watch books, है ना? और उसके बाद वाली VR वाली ज़्यादा होगी, right? So that moving on to different mediums, obviously, and that because people are moving to those different mediums, ना, that medium will also evolve.
और बुक्स तो कब पेपरस के जमाने से लिख रहे हैं इजिप्ट में, एंड अभी तो वीडियो गेम तो अभी पोंग से स्टार्ट हुआ है, तो गिव इट सम टाइम मैन.
And also, I mean, how much progress they've made in like what 50 years?
Imagine 20 years we went from 2D sprites to what where we are at Unreal Engine 5.
Beginning of the century was Diablo 2, and now we are here at Unreal Engine 5, where you know that
train station कौन सा कोई बता नहीं पा रहा है.
Where we complain about कि भाई यहाँ पे puddle था, यहाँ puddle क्यों नहीं है, ये reflective ray tracing का ज़्यादा नहीं है. We literally nitpick photorealistic games now because you know that's our privilege of playing games, because games are that good now.
Awesome discussion though, Turbayan. Thanks for the comment. इतने detail में उसने लिखा ना, I had to like separately break it into points and all. Good fun though to going through all of this. I think उसने सारे beats cover कर दे. Whatever we could have discussed, he like made us discuss everything. Great comment, dude.
A great comment, but the only downside to taking this comment entirely is Manas, by the end of this video, I mean, no offense meant, Dr. Soulsworn will be typing a whole paragraph just to complain that Manas does not read his comments completely. कि मेरे comment तो पढ़ते नहीं हो.
नहीं, उसका comment is like feedback and thoughts on वो. Like अगर ऐसा topic छेड़े, वैसे I have even more topics ready from comments में से मैंने निकाल के topics ready करके रखे हैं. आगे के लिए बचा के रखे हैं.
Sure.
In times of need, I'll whip them out. But yeah, for now, that's it. We're at the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. यार अगर वीडियो पसंद आए तो लाइक तो कर ही देना. First time if you stumbled into this and you're trying to figure out are video games really art,
right?
तो subscribe भी कर देना. We'll be talking more about
because
this.
I will tell you why they're not art.
With the wallpapers behind him
Yeah.
Darren will
This
tell them
is
ये
art which they
ये
probably
art
can't see because मेरा वो कटा हुआ है.
oh yeah
Frame कटा हुआ है.
I always wondered this. Like I normally make a joke about Darren's wallpaper, and then in the
हाँ.
podcast it
दिखता
doesn't
ही नहीं
appear at all.
होगा उसको
लोग
अंदर
सोच
करना
रहे
है
क्या
Darren.
बोल रहा है ये आयुष क्या बोल रहा है.
है क्या
बारे में?
पीछे ऐसा?
एक बंदूक दिखती है बस.
हाँ.
And I think it will be a big shock to the people who started off the video, seeing that we four are there, and Ayush is not there with the bad comments, and they're like relaxing, and suddenly in the middle Ayush pops up like, "Hey, bitches, I have to come to fuck up your opinions."
But I think Ayush put like a nice little bow on it पूरे
Yeah.
topic को wrap up करने के लिए. And with that, let's end the show. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for
Bye-bye.
joining in. रात के 1:30 हो गया है. Darren, सुशीर, अभी आयुष तो मूवी देख के है मल्टीवर्स ऑफ मैडनेस. मैंने बोला है लोगों को वैसे नीचे कमेंट्स में स्पॉइल कर दो because I do not care.
Bhai, I was more worried about the spoilers than getting to
Watching
watch
the movie मेरा भी यही है.
मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा उस क्रेडिट्स पे आयरन मैन को टोनी स्टार्क रॉबर्ट
स्पॉइलर कर मैं देखी नहीं.
अरे fuck,
अरे
sorry.
मैंने सुना नहीं but thank God.
वीडियो में
but-
स्पॉइल नहीं, कमेंट में जो करने का.
But Darren, that जहाँ पे जो लाइन जा रहा था ना, that is very close to Gandalf fighting Sauron. So don't worry about
Wait,
that.
शो खत्म करता हूँ मैं.
Yeah.
Alright, भाई लोग
Bye-bye.
like, comment,
अरे,
subscribe.
I want
We're on Spotify also. तो अगर
Ayush
पूरा
has a shout
podcast
out.
एक शॉट में देखना है, Spotify में देखना है,
No shout out.
YouTube पे तो वीडियो सही. Alright, go on Ayush.
अरे नहीं general question I wanted to ask like what was Darren's result?
Oh
Yeah.
अभी आया. I got it. I
shit.
got it.
Yeah.
Are you
Final
guys
piece of
ready?
news.
Are you ready?
Final piece of news.
Is it going to be good news or bad news?
Ready.
Hmm.
It is going to be Aladdin.
COVID-19 RT-PCR result
COVID
not
Aladdin.
detected.
Finally,
Fantastic,
Darren.
man.
Fantastic
Darren.
news.
For those who didn't know, Darren had tested positive earlier in the
For-
week. इसलिए वो एक दो episodes में आया नहीं था, but now result आया negative. All right. Darren Bilal, your father.
And I was out of the
negative
show because I was taking a road trip like Ranbir Kapoor in Jawani Diwani. Full Kabira soundtrack के साथ.
Oh damn.
Kabira soundtrack.